Hello and welcome to Entirely English. And today we are looking at a small part of the English language that can be a problem for many people. Now, I teach Ukrainians, I teach somebody in Sweden, I have students in England, refugees, I teach Finnish people. I have students from all over the world. And one thing I discovered was that prepositions, while they seem logical in English, don't translate over. Things that we just, as an English speaker, we think that makes sense. When we hear another language and translate back to English, we realize the prepositions aren't always the same, and that can be very confusing. And of course, Americans and what they do with the English language as well. So what we're going to do today is begin looking at prepositions. And let's start with the classic architectural crime happening across the Atlantic, the disappearing of. That's when they strip away of from sentence structures and therefore make the sentence illogical. For example, somebody might say, I look out the window. No, I look out of the window. Think about the spatial physics in English. Out in that sentence, look out, is acting as an adverb of direction, and of is the crucial preposition connecting it to the object. When you forcibly delete of from the sentence, you strip away the structure, the boundaries. I look out of the window. When you change it to I look out the window, you're treating the window as the direct object, like I'm feeding the cat. You're not looking out the window, you're looking out of the window. It's exactly the same mathematical strip down as we have with the phrase a couple of. Like I'm going away for a couple of days. You'll hear it a lot. People say, I'm going away for a couple days. It's wrong. Couple is a noun, not a direct adjective modifier. You wouldn't say, I bought a couple apples. I bought a couple of apples. Or I saw a nice couple people, a nice couple of people. You can say, I saw a nice couple, because couple there stands alone as the noun. Like I saw a nice dog, I saw a nice couple, meaning a married couple, an engaged couple. But the moment you add objects or time, it becomes of. I saw a nice couple of people. I'm going away for a couple of days. I'm looking out of the window. Stop defenestrating our of. Next, we come to the redundant of. This is where of is forced into a sentence where it doesn't need to be. You might call this the inverse crime of the previous of. I've heard this on social media. Here's a couple of clips.
Of Amazon inside of Russia. Go an Amazon inside of Russia.
Money off of the lives of our service members.
Outside of this box.
And you might say, be careful, you'll knock that cup off of the table. It's superfluous. You just knock the cup off the table. There is trouble happening inside Russia. Now, to be clear, talking about the inside of something, like the inside of the container, that is different, because inside is a noun in that phrase, the inside. So the inside of something. But where inside or off, O-double-F, are acting as prepositions, of is completely superfluous. The sentence is already 100% complete. So the cup falling off the table, off already denotes the movement of the cup away from the table, the subject away from the object. Adding of just creates a double preposition. It's like stuttering, and it has zero functionality. It doesn't add emphasis. It just makes you sound like you're stuttering. So be careful of your use of prepositions. So tell me, what are your plans on the weekend? Why are people talking like they're physically sitting on top of Saturday and Sunday? Are they above these 2 days on a tightrope on the weekend? In proper English, you do something at the weekend. You have a barbecue at the weekend. You go and see your mother-in-law at the weekend. You relax at the weekend. not on the weekend. Weekend is a specific point of time. It's the 2 days. So here's a little mental hack for you, as they'd call it these days, to remember on. On goes with day. So on Saturday, on Sunday, at the weekend. So words with day, we have on Monday, on Christmas Day, on my birthday, on New Year's Day. Because day is perceived as a flat 24-hour period, like the surface on the calendar. You do something on that day, if you like. Always on a day. Perhaps the Americans are considering the weekend as weekend days. On the weekend days, possible to shorten it, but it still doesn't make grammatical sense at all. Next, we have the lazy omission. You hear it so much because of American media. It seems right, but, or it seems correct, let's use that word, but it's not. When they say, write me, you should get a big pen and E. No, write to me. You write a message, an email, a telegram to somebody, the object. This is exactly the sort of lazy grammar that changes protesting against a decision to protesting a decision. It's not grammatically correct. It is clumsy. It is awful. Write me. Instructing them, write me. I will write later. That's fine. It's a time adverb. Write to an object. Write to the Times. Write to the president. Write to me. Another lazy omission, and we see this a lot in American writing because of speech. And it's the omission of had in had better. You had better do that. It's strong advice. Like, you should really do that. We had better leave now. In speech, it's reduced to we'd better leave. We apostrophe D. We'd better leave. And because the D is often soft, we'd better leave. I don't know what they're teaching in schools, but people are writing what they hear. So they write, we better leave. We better invade Iran. It's had better. We had better. We'd better. It's a phrase like ought to. It's one of those phrases that go together to make a meaning. You had better remember that. Now, let's step across international borders and look at prepositions, because this is what I was talking about originally, where it gets confusing, because we think in our language prepositions are the same everywhere. And then when we come to learn another language, we eventually realize, no, they're not. And by using our prepositions in their sentence structures, we just add confusion. So if you're cooking dinner right now, where are you? In English, we would say you are in the kitchen. But if you're speaking Ukrainian, you wouldn't say in the kitchen. You'd say, "Я на кухне." I'm on the kitchen. You would say, I'm in my holiday home in English. But in Ukrainian and the other Slavic languages, I believe, you would say, "Я на даче." On the dacha, on the holiday house. So you're like, when you translate it back to English, what, you're standing on the roof? Why are you on the roof? Don't jump. So in English is like contained. You've got the four walls, the ceiling, the floor, and you're in that space. You're in the kitchen, in the bedroom, in the holiday home, in the hotel. In other languages, like in Ukrainian, you are on those places. I think they treat it like it's the flat surface, the kitchen floor. So you're on the floor. We've visualized the three-dimensional space, and they have this two-dimensional flooring, sort of like it's a stage they're standing on. It's not wrong. It's just different visualizations, different interpretations of the preposition. So when you're learning English, try to think about the right prepositions for our language. Like when I was trying to learn Russian, I was making mistakes by using the wrong prepositions. And don't even get me started on my attempts to learn French. Oh, this is so exhausting. I should go on holiday. Holiday. Now, we mentioned before on with day. Holiday, historically, goes back to two words. It was holy day. The word day is still in there, so you should remember on day, on holiday. So in the old calendars, it would be marked as a holy day for not working. And that became holiday. We have holidays from school. We have the weekends are essentially holidays. They're times when we're not working. Vacations stem from that because vacations are relatively a new concept. Vacation coming from the word vacare, meaning to vacate, to leave. So a vacation is literally when you leave your home. You can have a holiday at home, which some stupid people call a staycation. It's a holiday. You're not working. Or a vacation holiday where you leave your home. Because vacation stems from the holiday idea. We use the same preposition to be on holiday, on vacation. And again, this changes with language. So if you look at German or Russian, the idea of holiday, vacation is a self-contained thing. So you step into it. I'll apologize for my pronunciation now, but in German, you have im Urlaub, Urlaub, something like that. And in Russian, the Otputsk. Both literally meaning in holiday, inside this contained unit of time. Personally, I think that would be nice with our modern world where you can't escape the office because you have your mobile phones and things with you. The old days, you could just go away and not worry about that. You have to be closed off. So on holiday, on vacation, on Christmas Day, on Monday, on Tuesday, on my birthday, on Valentine's Day, on vacation, holiday. Okay. So a quick question. How did you get home from work today? On the bus? In your car? What is the difference there? Why is it in the car and not in the bus? The reason being cars have always been these sort of closed in units. Even the old cars, they had a roof that pulled up. So they were enclosed, so you were in them, inside. Buses, planes, ships, we go onto them. We are on the bus, on the plane, on the ship. Ship's easy to understand. When you get on a ship, you're on the deck, the flat surface. You are on it. You don't go into the ship until whatever. With our old carriages, they developed over a period of time. The original carriages are basically like the farm vehicles. They were flatbed vehicles with wheels, and you'd sit just on there. You were in the open air. Then they put seats on. You were still in the open air, and then eventually they enclosed it into grander, more secure carriages. But the preposition on the carriage, on the bus, on the ship, and planes take a lot of their terminology from the Navy. That's just a logical development. So we're on a plane, on rather than in. And then what's the difference between in and into and on and onto? Again, we see this mistake a lot in publications because editors are not doing their jobs now with novels. In and on define where you are or where you're going to. You are in the bank. You are on the bus. Right? Into and onto define that movement. I'm getting onto the bus. I'm going into the bank. So when you see in novels, even J.K. Rowling, brilliant writer, but her editor should have picked this up. She often writes on to instead of onto as one word. If you have on to as two separate words, it's defining where you are and what you're doing there, what your intention is. You wouldn't say, I went into the bank. Well, I went in, talking about the bank, I went in to deposit some money. I went in to rob it. I got on to sail the ship. I got on to the ship. Different meanings. And bicycles, horses, we are on them. Cars in, buses on, and bicycles on, motorbikes, all those sort of things, because we are physically on them, riding. They are under us, we are on them. And so when you go to ride your bike, you get onto your bike, and then you ride on your bike. As I said, a lot of the ship ones, like going on the ship, on board. Again, on board, that came from Navy, and we say it for planes. Have a look back at the Navy idioms series. You find a lot of phrases come from the Navy, and I explain why in that series. Now we have the trap with at and in. What is the difference between being in the hospital and at the hospital? Yeah. It's very important to get this preposition right, because otherwise you could cause your family and friends to panic. Because if you're in hospital, you are there for treatment. You've got a broken leg, you've got digestive problems, you need an operation, you're in the hospital. At the hospital defines this place, your location, basically. At is a precise place. So if you're at the hospital, you could be there to visit somebody. You could be there to get coffee from the machine. It doesn't matter. It's just your location. In hospital is a different meaning. So where's Johnny now? He's at school. At is the precise place where he is. When he's in school, he is there to learn. He's in school at the moment. I mean, it's lesson time. So don't be like those certain people across the Atlantic and mess up the preposition. In hospital, at work. It's a place where you are. He's in work means he's employed. Different meaning completely. In the office, so it's space. At the office, maybe he's at the door. He's seeing somebody. It's a different meaning. Okay, so where are you right now? Now, about is an interesting word. If I ask you to think about an elephant, how is that different from me asking you to think of an elephant? Of and about, different meanings. People think they're the same, they're very different. About in Old English was like around. It's an area, like I walked around the city. You could say I walked about the cities. Random, it takes in a whole area. Whereas of is precise. So if I say, think of your mother, you have this image, maybe like Whistler's mother, sitting there in the chair. When I say, think about your mother, it's everything connected with her, its surrounding, her personality, her laugh, the food she made. It's all that stuff that is around her. It's like a cloud of information. So if I say, think of an elephant, picture of an elephant in your mind. Think about an elephant, you think about the plains where it's roaming, pulling up trees, helping cars out of rivers, all that sort of thing. So it's general information about the thing compared to the thing itself. And this is where things change. Again, with other languages. In French, it's a completely different matter. They just have the precise of, talk of, think of. It's precise. German is different again. They use the word over, apparently, so I'm told. So you think over a person, think over an elephant, and you think over your mother, not of or about, but over. So you can think about it like we have a boundary fence, the French have a specific line, and the Germans are hovering over, looking down on things. So what about in your language? I'm not talking about every language here. These are just examples. Pop in the comments your prepositions. How does it make the words, the meanings different? So we have disappearing ofs. We've got extra redundant ofs. We've got on days. We've got onto and into, on and in, of and about, at and in, on and in, like on the kitchen, in the kitchen, on the holiday home, in the holiday home. The missing preposition to, write to. So we listen to something, we should write to things as well. And there are others, several others. These are the key ones I wanted to talk about with you. And I would like you to share your prepositions. Maybe you don't have prepositions in your language. I don't know. Now, I was surprised when I found out that Ukrainians don't use the definite article. They don't say the cat, they just say cat. So tell me, do you have prepositions? And do they have different meanings? I mean, do you use them differently? Are you on the kitchen, in the kitchen, under the kitchen, over the kitchen? So prepositions can be an absolute trap if you don't use them correctly. They can change the meanings of things. They can spoil the meanings of things. So you had better learn them. And if you're studying any language, you had better learn them in those languages as well. Don't presume they are the same. Okay, so yeah, as I said, there's the link to the naval idioms within the video there. That might be of interest to you. If there's any questions you have, pop them in the comments below. Let me know about the prepositions in your language and give us a like, subscribe, anything like that that you feel up to. And do come back next time. Okay, bye bye for now.